it your first time at GBF Africa?
It is actually. Very first, and I absolutely love it.
Expectations?
Being met so far, things that I'm hoping will come out as the day progresses, though. So I'm watching this space. Let's ask me this question again tomorrow morning.
Your presence here today, what are you expecting to hear from today's session and the event in general?
Well, we've come a long way, necessarily as an emerging continent. It's important that we build on leveraging our resource and interlinkages across the world. And so a platform like this, I believe, would enable us make the right connections, build the right networks, try and sell our continent and country better, to try and attract investment into Africa to help with our growth agenda.
And can you tell me more about Angola's participation at this expo? I think you have a stand somewhere back there.
We do have. We are actually very committed with the expo because the invitation came very earlier, and we have a very comprehensive team here working with the Dubai Expo. So it's kind of our intention to attract investment. So yeah, it's important for us to be here.
Yes, possible. Mohammed? So let's do an interview real quick.
I'd like to welcome His Excellency Hamad Bouamim, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, to give the welcome address.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And we're very pleased to be here as this is our first official big gathering, I would say, in the past 20 months. And we are very excited about it. On behalf of Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I just want to say it's an honor and pleasure for all of us to welcome you at the 6th Global Business Forum under the theme Reset, Restore and Renew, where we are exploring avenues of economic cooperations between the African continent and UAE. To all of our esteemed African delegates, I just want to say your presence at this forum means a lot to us as it reflects your strong commitments toward enhancing the existing ties between Dubai and UAE with the African continents. Hosting this forum at Expo Dubai 2020 is not only adding a significance to the business forum, but also opens new doors for companies from UAE and our regional markets that are keen to explore the untapped business potentials in Africa. We believe that there is no better platform to showcase the vast economic potential that the continent offers than the first World Expo in the Middle East, Africa and South Asia region, and the largest event ever to be hosted at this region and at this part of time. Much like Expo 2020, the aims of this forum is to engage government leaders and businesses from around the world to collaborate and foster cross-border partnerships that drive sustainable economic growth and build a brighter future for everyone. The Global Business Forum Africa is a landmark event and series, as this is the 6th time we've been hosting it, and we started this journey, I would say, more than 10 years ago. And it's organized by Dubai Chamber under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President and Prime Minister, the ruler of Dubai, who had the vision of focusing in emerging markets, and particularly the African markets. And our forum has grown in significance and participation over the years to bring together heads of states, policymakers, business leaders, and entrepreneurs to examine key trends and technologies that are driving the next phase of African developments. This forum, ladies and gentlemen, come at a crucial time as economies around the world start to show positive signs after the pandemic. What Dubai has done exceptionally well during this challenging time is trying to turn some of these challenges into opportunities. And one of those is to focus in building the trade even further with a target of 2 trillion dirham in the next 5 years. That's more than $500 billion US. And we strongly believe that through this plan, we have a lot of activities to establish new shipping routes and links to connect Dubai with more than 400 cities around the world. And of course, Africa play a big part of that, as we strongly believe that the African markets of strategic importance to Dubai as part of this ambitious strategy, and it's also aligned with the African countries across the continent that are looking to diversify their economies and trade. The African companies to trade not only with our region but with the surrounding region around us and the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Dubai Chamber Representatives Office in Ethiopia, Ghana, Mozambique and Kenya continue to play a crucial role in building bridges between UAE and the African business communities, identifying attractive investment opportunities in Africa and assisting the African companies to enter Dubai and use Dubai as a hub. Judging by the economic indicator, it's safe to say that our efforts in Africa are bearing fruits. If we just look during the past couple of years, as the last event we hosted in 2019, the trade with Africa reached $50 billion US in 2020, despite the pandemic challenges, which is the highest record so far in the last decade. Actually, if you go back since we started, it went from 20 to 50 billion, and that's quite very impressive numbers. When you look at the number of companies registered with Dubai Chamber, again, during this journey, during the last 2 years, we recorded 16% growth to 25,000 African companies registered with us. And if you look at the whole journey, we more than doubled the number from 12,000 to 25,000. So again, we are very pleased with these results, and we are eager to continue working toward the future with Africa. For its part, Dubai Chamber is fully committed in facilitating the relationship between UAE and the African business community through a variety of initiatives. Of course, the Global Business Forum is one of them, and we've been committed not only to do it once, but we've been doing it throughout all these years, and we are committed to continue this in the future. Also, our international offices, we have 4 of them right now in Africa, and the plan is really to continue expanding, offers and organize actually trade missions jointly with the African companies that have or that are coming to Dubai throughout the year and attending all the different events that's happening in our calendar. We also continue to support Dubai businesses that are eager to go to Africa. Distinguished guests, before I conclude, I would like to advise our esteemed delegates, especially those who are coming from overseas, to fully explore all the advantages and the experiences that the Global Business Forum Africa and Expo 2020 platforms offers. In our role as the official business integration partner to Expo, Dubai Chamber is organizing several business events at Expo that are putting spotlights in different emerging markets such as Africa, plus the Latin Americans and the ASEAN region during these 6 months, as well as many addressing the global issues that are impacting business communities around the world through the thematic weeks business forums. So we recommend you also to take advantage of that. We encourage you also to join this global conversation at Expo and grasp the collaboration opportunities with both hands. And through our combined efforts, we are confident that we can achieve great things well after this forum and usher a new era of UAE and GCC African cooperations. Once again, thank you for participations and wish you a great couple of days at this forum and at Expo 2020. We hope this will be a successful and constructive and memorable event. Thank you very much.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much.
How are you this morning? Great. It's great to be the opening act after so long. This, by the way, is the first time in almost 2 years that I've been on a big stage. I'm sure not for you, but it's very exciting to be back after the COVID pandemic kept us apart. It's a bit like a school reunion for all of us. Now, this is very exciting. I want to start with the news that came out yesterday about CDC and DP World. So let me tell people a little bit about what I know about it. You're expanding ports that you already operate in Egypt, Senegal, and Somaliland. That's right. And both DP World and CDC are already sort of active across Africa. So it's sort of a good fit for the both of you. So can you tell us, what are you investing in? And how significant is this for African jobs and businesses? Well, what does it say about DP World and its commitment to Africa?
Thank you very much. Well, it's my pleasure and honor to be here with you today. Definitely it's amazing news. CDC investment with us in Africa infrastructure is a vote of confidence in the economy of Africa. I believe this is a big milestone. It is the largest investment they have in the last 72 years. This will encourage many others to come and invest in Africa. Why? Because one of the biggest issues in Africa is infrastructure. Ports, facilities, rails. Africa needs funding, and only it can come from private sources. And this is really very important for us. We are very passionate about Africa. You can see our growth and our spread. We are investing from the beginning in many places where people thought it will not work, and it did. Why? Because we, as a company, we have a lot of experience in running ports, on trade, and we see that Africa has something that nobody else has. They have growth more than anybody or any market we've seen. The potential of growth in Africa is big, and that is why we are investing in Africa.
And tell me how important, this is called Partnerships for Prosperity. That's what this session is called. So in order to partner for prosperity, where do ports come in? We know that ports are 90% of all goods traded around the world are traded through ports. They're very, very important. How important is the work that you're doing in Africa to Africa?
Very important. I mean, let me give you an example of Dubai. One of the biggest investments in Dubai are in ports. We started from the beginning with Port Rashid and then Jebel Ali. Today, a combination of Jebel Ali Port and Jebel Ali Free Zone contribute 32% of GDP in Dubai and probably 20-22% for the whole country. So free zone and ports create jobs. The ports are the gateway. But the issue is really sometimes people misunderstand it in the way that everybody says, I want to build more ports. The port by itself doesn't bring business. Industrial parks and free zone does. And this is something we learned in Jebel Ali. The Jebel Ali port, in the beginning, from 79 to 85, not much business came. In 85, the free zone was started, and that started the business in Jebel Ali. Because the free zone, industrial park, create a captive market for the port. And I've seen many countries, they keep building ports and ports, but at the end of the day, unless there is cargo to be transported, nobody's going to use the port. The big creator of jobs is industrial parks, free zones, logistic parks. This is something we do very well. We learned. We done it in Dubai, it worked. We're replicating what is in Dubai today into other countries. Give you an example of Senegal. Fantastic country, a great government, highly educated people, pro-business attitude, and that allowed us to invest. Today we're investing in expansion of the car port.
Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Denise Buchanan. I actually am an entrepreneur. I live in Los Angeles, California. I flew in last night for this, just unbelievably informative forum. And so far, so good. It's been just incredible information. And the last session was, for me, particularly hit home because she was talking about women entrepreneurs, and I am an entrepreneur. And when you consider that 50% of the women are not funded as much as the men are funded, that really hit home for me because that is a reality in my world. Because I'm a land developer, I'm a landscape architect, and there are lots of opportunities that are thrown at me, but there's no funding to actually carry them through. So I'm looking at, okay, why is the disparity the way it is? And knowing that it's not only being a female, but there are all these other cultural parts of it too. So what is it that I can now do being here to actually bridge the gap between what's actually the reality of it and what's possible?
And why do you think that, there's that disparity? Is it more the system, or is it that women maybe sometimes just don't step up and are not bold enough to take opportunities when they see them, or just demand?
I think it's both. I think women do need to speak up a lot more, but then there's also the aspect that when they do speak up, they're considered a little aggressive, they're considered to be unfeminine, non-feminine, and I'm like, so why are we considered aggressive when we step up and men are not when they do? So I think there's a cultural phenomenon at play here, and women just need to really just stick to it, knowing that they deserve and they are respected for themselves, knowing that they deserve to get as much to be around the table as the men do.
And now I'm being joined by Minister Mawani Diggs, who's Minister Commerce and Industry from Liberia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And your take on the event so far?
Well, it's good to be in the UAE, Dubai particularly, and it's good to see an outpouring of support for what is really, really critical in terms of trade in our region, African continent, because it's about time that we really start to have real conversations to explore the next steps and what happens in terms of trade, imports, exports.
And we're coming out of a pandemic. How did that impact your country, and what are some of the steps you took to shore up, yourselves and make sure that you were not sort of overthrown by the pandemic itself?
Well, the unfortunate part, Liberia had been hit by Ebola, so we've sort of experienced twin shocks. We overcame Ebola, and then we started having an upturn in our economy, and then came COVID. And so now we're recovering. But the good thing is we were sort of ahead of the scale in terms of how to respond to COVID when it came in terms of a pandemic. But our businesses have been impacted. So we've seen that level of impact in the economy with our small, medium enterprises, which have been hit mostly by this. And now we're looking for ways where we can continue to empower our economy in terms of our small, medium enterprises. And we're looking at a different shift now from focus on the extractives, because we've realized for our economy to grow, the focus is really going to change on, and we're focusing more on agriculture and agro-processing and building industry within the country for self-sustainability, which is so critical.
And let's talk about the AFCFTA, for instance. How can we remove barriers into trade in Africa? And how can we, ensure that movement of goods and services is a lot easier and less expensive?
I think it's so critical that we realize that within our region, Africa as a whole, we have to strengthen our laws and policies in our individual states, first of all, before we can begin to really trade within the continent. And that means having those real conversations and putting actions to it that will lessen, the terrors and really identify those specific commodities that we share in common and decide on how that trade is going to occur, but then identify those specialty commodities that we have in our different countries that we can share across the continent, because as a region, Africa, we have to really reach that point where we can sustain ourselves. The good thing with COVID, it didn't completely shut us off from the rest of the world. And I think for Liberia, it has really opened our eyes to the fact that we have to make sure we're self-sustainable. If the world should shut down, will we survive? Are we positioned to sustain ourselves? And that's the conversation we're having in every sector and looking at how we move forward. So with AFCTA, it's so critical because once we can do that, because we have access to roads, opposed to just depending on what comes in via the sea. And so I think we really have to strengthen our laws individually and then look at, this whole trade regime in a concrete way, identify the specific commodities that we know that we can trade within the continent.
Finally, I know that one of the issues already raised at this event is women and inclusion and funding for women-led enterprises. What's the situation in Liberia? And I mean, you're a woman, I'm sure you'll be championing for women as well. What have you been doing in your country?
Well, the good thing, our president is the feminist in chief. He's really key on empowering women in positions where we can continue to empower others. What we realized in our economy is really driven by women. When we look at our small, medium enterprises, the percentage of women that run those businesses, are entrepreneurs. So women have an advantage in terms of their contributions to the economy, and we're working more to formalize it. So you see a lot of that in the informal sector. So we're putting in measures and programs helping with that fiscal, because that's the thing. There are people who have the thoughts, the ideas, women particularly. So how do you turn that into an actual, marketable commodity? And so how do we help them in terms of fiscal capacity? So money is always an issue. So creating those atmospheres where they have the money, to start the businesses, to maintain the businesses, to grow the businesses, but also that they have that opportunity to be able to have the capacity, the knowledge to know how to compact all of that, take their ideas, create a product, create a business, and be able to sustain and grow that business. So that comes to capacity building. So we're looking at it from all of those factors so we can continue to support what already naturally exists within our economy.
So my name's Emmanuel Magnus Oweka, and I've flown in from Lagos, Nigeria.
What do you do?
I'm in technology. I own a technology firm in Lagos.
Fantastic. So we are at the Global Business Forum Africa, and it's day one of the event after a 20-month delay. I'd like to know your impression of the event so far.
Honestly, with the long delay, it put a lot of people off, but so far it's amazing. You have so many countries here represented from Africa, and I could see a lot of talk going on, so I see a good promise.
And for those skeptics, if you will, who'd say, these events, you just talk, what's happening, from your experience having been here already, how important would you say that these conversations are to help, the whole continent even become aware and have conversations that drive the entire continent forward?
I think it's so important because I see this event as a platform where African nations can actually discuss with the UAE on how to move forward in terms of trade. Over time, there's been a lot of talk on how to move Africa forward, but I see this event as a place people could sit down and discuss and share thoughts on the way forward. So this is a good way to execute, if I want to use that word, on the promise of Africa.
Well, after being delayed for well over 1 year, Global Business Forum Africa returns for a 6th edition as part of the Expo 2020 Dubai. Now, delegates have come from across 55 countries, over 3,000 of them registered for the event that is themed Reset, Restore, Renew. Organizers, that's Dubai Chamber of Commerce, say their aim is to deepen the ties with Africa. They're also looking to open new doors of opportunity on the African continent to Dubai-based investors. Now, in an interview with Channels Television, President and CEO of Dubai Chamber of Commerce, that's His Excellency Ahmad Bouamin, did share more on their interests in the continent.
Well, since day one, we always look at the relationship with Africa as win-win. We never addressed from our point of view and our angle this relationship beyond the commercial. So we're looking for sustainable relationship, not into one-off transactions. And to make it sustainable, both sides have to win. And this is where we believe Africans have something to offer the world, and we believe we can help with that. I want to give you an example in terms of commodities, even when we talk about tea, coffee, diamonds, or gold. Here in Dubai, through our coffee center and tea centers and gold centers, we always offer the Africans, whether farmers or miners, to use Dubai infrastructure and to continue to own their own commodities. And if they want the help of Dubai to market their, I would say, commodities, or to partner with businesses from Dubai, also we bring that on board. So the relationship is always for us. It's a commercial relationship, it's a sustainable and relationship of long term. The other thing that we always believe that we bring is the know-how. We believe that Dubai has certain know-how because of the experience we went through ourselves during the past 50 years, and we can relate to what's happening in Africa. And we like also to look into things that can be sustainable for long term, not like investors coming from other parts of the world. The network that Dubai has, we believe that can bring value to Africa, and vice versa. We always look at businesses from Africa to look at Dubai as infrastructure and hub to go to the rest of the world. During the past, I would say, 8 years since we started organizing this, I grew the number of African companies from 12,000 to 25,000. And these 25,000, I call them Dubai companies. They are African companies established in Dubai using Dubai infrastructure to access the rest of the world. And this is the type of relationship that we want to continue working on going forward.
Interesting. I have an interesting question for you.
Go ahead.
What is Dubai learning from Africa?
Well, also we learn a lot. I will tell you, not everybody understands Africa, and I believe because of our proximity, because of our relationship, we continue to learn more and more. And we believe there are a lot of talents in Africa that can change Africa. It's not necessary, you bring people from outside, but definitely the talents of Africa, they are the one who we believe that will transform Africa. And we always like to work with them. Most of our people in my offices, in the boards, they are Africans, and usually they are well educated, and I think a lot of that. I don't know if the rest of the world know this fact, but we know it very well.
And because I represent a Nigerian media, I'd ask about Nigeria. Why haven't we seen your office in Nigeria? When will this happen?
Well, believe me, Nigeria is one of the markets that we are very keen in, and we believe there are a lot of opportunities. In fact, we identified the only challenge we had was the language. We felt that if we come very close with somebody with another market that can speak English, that can be faster. However, we are seriously considering Nigeria and Senegal in the West. So you'll see us very soon.